You're listening to the Everything Went Black podcast.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Everything Went Black podcast. First and foremost, I'd like to dedicate this episode to the memory of Andrew Garrity, a good friend of mine who passed away recently. Andrew is one of those road men that you meet out there on tour, and he and I have been friends for over a decade. First ran into each other on the 1349 tour back in 2015, and we've been friends ever since. And I sadly discovered that over this past weekend he passed away through natural causes. So this episode is dedicated to him. Karl and I return to wrap up the Kane journey that we've been on for these last several years. We have reached the end of the line with Kane, the mythical hero of Karl Edward Wagner. And we wrap this up with the final chronological short story called At First Ghostly. If you're listening to this show, you definitely want to check out the other podcasts of the Horsemen of the Podcasting Apocalypse. Every other Monday, we've got Brandon Legion's Horror Wolf 666. Up next is Jackie Smith's Into the Necrosphere. And if you're listening to this, you probably have caught my episode with Jackie where we wrap up the top records, the top 10 records of 2025. And it's a bit of a tradition that we have going, and I look forward to doing it every year, and it's always a really, really good time to hang out and catch up. Wednesday, of course, is Everything Went Black, as well as Iblis Manifestations. Thursday is Necro Thursday, where the Necromaniacs Horror Podcast comes at you, as well as Day 1 of Soul Knocks by Karl Hikara. Friday, Spitball Media comes to you. Saturday is a day off. And Karl returns on Sunday with Day 2 of Soul Knocks. And this is the collaboration that we're doing, the Darness Weaves collaboration, which we're listening to right now. If you like what you're hearing, I thank you very much. This has been a long, long journey doing this podcast. And I appreciate everyone, old and new, who has been supporting the show. And it means a lot to me. This is one of the more consistent things I've done throughout my life. And especially in the last few years, which have been quite difficult. The rigors of putting out material every week has been a saving grace, actually, and it's been very meaningful to me. If you want to support the show, you can also join the Everything Went Black Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you get access to bonus material. For $5 a month, you get all the bonus material plus early access to the regular shows. And for $25 a month, you can become a sponsor. Kane petulantly threw the closest attacker against the wall. As the wall was on the opposite side of the street, the man hung there for a moment before sliding down like a filthy and shattered doll. By then, Kane had pulled the head off of the next assailant and tossed that bit somewhere in the direction of the lady in black. The third dead thing lunged for Kane with his knife, but Kane disarmed him, throwing arm and knife into the darkness, and then deftly ripping out his heart. Hanging back, the last assailant threw his knife at Kane, and while Kane was catching the blade, rolled behind a large dustbin and pulled an Uzi from beneath his raincoat. Darkness Weaves. We're closing in on the final Kane story, the last story ever for
Yeah,
Karl Edward Wagner's anti-hero. Dubious and dubiously an anti-hero. He might straight up be evil.
yeah.
At least at the very least he's chaotic. So yeah, it's Kane's final adventure here.
What's interesting is this came out in 1989, so technically, like the Gothic Touch was like the true final story and Acme Warehouse, but I think this is a fitting one to close it out, you know?
Yeah, like kind of chronologically in his adventures, I feel like this is kind of like the last story.
Yeah, because this is definitely set after Gothic Touch and the
Yeah.
other two stories. That's why they put it in this chronology in the
Yeah,
collection, I think.
Blacklight has a cameo, sort of small role in this short story.
Yeah, it definitely you definitely feel like it take place later than the other. Because the last two stories we covered definitely seemed like early 80s, you know?
Yeah,
Um, even the last one seemed like the 70s or something, but this is definitely after Elvis died. But um, yeah, this one is it's written in 89. It's very much an 89. I think that he kind of put a little bit of the main character in the story. I think is a little bit of a um, what self
autobiographical.
yeah
Yeah,
autobiographer a
yeah,
little bit.
totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, you mentioned that this came out in 1989. It came out in a special issue of Weird Tales. And then later in 1997, it was collected in an anthology called Exorcisms and Ecstasies. And of course, it's in the Midnight Sun short story collection, Kane short story collection, which came out in 2002, which is
yeah.
kind of hard to find these days. But if you could find it and you want to shell out some coin, um, I highly recommend it because it's got all the stories.
Yeah. Yeah, and the I believe that edition of Weird Tales, like this is a deliberate tribute to the Avengers, the TV show from the 60s. I'm not sure if that was because of the Weird Tales issue as a tribute to Avengers or I can't remember exactly. It said something about that in the introduction, but
Yeah,
it's uh yeah, Wagner wrote this and I mean it's obvious. I mean, Kane's wearing like a bowler hat at one point in the suit and
yeah.
his like daughter he introduces his daughter Clest, who walks around in like a cat suit, just like what's her name in the Avengers
What's interesting about Kane, though, it's like, we started off as a sword and sorcery character, and then now, even within the modern world, he's gone through like a couple of iterations. He was like the mirrored shades, leather jacket, slick back, hair guy, and now he's a British, you know, sort of guy wearing a bowler hat. It's kind of interesting.
or at least for part of it, because his first appearance he's in his metal dude outfit because he's wearing like a leather jacket and stuff and
Yeah,
biker
but
boots at the start. But
but he
yeah,
kind of runs the gamut though of like all these different looks, which I found, kind of funny and
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, it's interesting. Now I was trying to think of Diana Rigg. She was
The
in
Avengers.
the Avengers, yep. And of course she was also in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, one of the better James Bond movies. So
There you go.
yeah. And although I do think that part got recast, I think it was, yeah. I'm trying to remember who also because I think that the part was recast. There was two ladies who played I think it was yeah, uh Linda Thorson or something. I can't remember. But yeah, because the guy had two different lady. But Diana Rigg was the famous one who wore like the black cat suit and everything. So I never really watched the Avengers very much, but I mean I have seen it obviously. It was definitely a byproduct of the popularity of the James Bond novels, even though the show started before the James Bond movies. I mean, you can tell that because at that point the James Bond novels were really, really popular. So I think it was probably a offshoot of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this story starts off with Carson Lennox. on a plane to England, and he's drinking heavily. So right away, he's an author. So there is a bit of that. And we also know that Carl Edward Wagner liked to take a drink from time to time.
It was like Cody Lennox.
Cody
Yeah,
Lennox. Sorry about
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Parsons in that character. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and he's off to a World Fantasy like convention thing, science fiction convention in London. So, which Wagner attended a lot of those, and one of them famously, I believe, I think he like passed out on stage famously, and Robert Silverberg or Paul Anderson or somebody had to like take over, like take the microphone out of his passed out hands and kind of like
yeah.
like yeah. I mean he did I think probably shortly after this story is when he around when the story's written is when he started trying to clean up though because before he died he was like he I think he tried to quit drinking and stuff, right? So
That probably, I imagine that contributed to his demise because you know how like sometimes like people who are heavy drinkers or drug users, they seem to like their body seems to react weird to like when they start to clean up.
oh yeah, that happens a lot. It's that tipping point where if you don't stop by a certain point, the damage is done, and it doesn't matter if you stop drinking.
Damn.
Then that's kind of what happens. It's particularly with alcohol. It's worse. That's probably out of all this stuff, it's the most destructive drug out there, pretty much. I've been told that even by doctors and stuff. So it's like uh, that's the thing. I think short maybe around that the story's written shortly after I think is when he tried to quit drinking. But I mean, he died of like liver failure, I think, right? So
Yeah.
and but I'll have to say that the amount of drinking that Cody Lennox does in the story made me feel a little sick as I was reading it.
Dude,
It's
he's
it's a
he's like
lot.
drunk through the whole fucking story, man, basically.
Yeah.
You
He's
know.
literally hair dogging it. He's drinking like scotch the whole flight over. He lands after a little nap, and the first thing he does is go and get more drinks at a bar. He like first thing he does when he goes to sleep is drink more scotch and then drink some like and it's just it's like it made me feel queasy at
Yeah.
the
No,
time.
definitely. Even the plane scene in the beginning where he's drunk on the plane. It's like I can't think of a worse place to be drunk on than a plane, man. Like he's kind of flying makes me feel fucking disgusting. Like even sober, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I've never been drunk on a plane, but like I can't imagine it feels good. I mean, you're like get dehydrated enough to being on a plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Last thing you need is to drink a bunch of scotch like he does, and it even describes him like wobbling as he's trying to go to the bathroom, and then he comes
Mhm.
back and he orders more scotch. I'm just like, this is the tale of somebody who's like a total alcoholic, right?
Yeah.
Like just like brutal, brutal. But I guess like we there's like a dark thing that's happened with his wife. We don't find out until a bit later what happened, but that's maybe part of what's fueling this particular drink binging. Like everybody's like keeping an eye on him throughout the story and everything, worried about him and everything, right? So
Yeah, his deceased wife plays a part in this later on, or the sort of tulpa of his deceased wife.
yeah,
One of the things I thought was funny that he's playing solitaire and he's losing like all the hands,
yeah,
and the guy that's sitting next to him, they kind of had like not like an argument, but they were like you can tell that the guy didn't really approve of him, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And so before he gets off the plane, he's like, "Oh, you bet you lost every hand to solitaire." And it turned out that the Queen of Spades had fallen off of his tray, and the guy was he saw that the card was like laying on the ground and didn't tell him about it.
yeah. It was like on the ground underneath his shoe, but he didn't say anything about it. Yeah, like
That was a nice little touch, I thought.
and there's a lot of symbolism around the Queen of
Yeah,
Spades in the story, so it kind
yep,
of kicks that off.
yeah,
And yeah, I thought that was funny too. Cody Lennox is kind of described in a lot of ways like Karl Edward Wagner as well. Like he's a dude who's like, you know, um, kind of like he doesn't full. I think it's like he's He's like a guy who's like older, like in his 40s probably, but who like still wants to somewhat be hip, but he doesn't like go full. You know what I mean? Like he's definitely still part of the 80s though. Like so he's wearing like um, you know, the type of suits like I'm imagining like the type of suit he describes later, I'm imagining like I don't know, very 80s type of suit, but I think in his earlier parts he's wearing like a black coat and stuff like that. You know what I mean? If I
Yeah.
remember correctly. Yeah.
So, he checks into his hotel, meets up with some of his writers, some fellow writers, Mike Carson, who, I use Carson as a mistakenly called Lennox, and melded those two names together.
Yeah.
Jack Martin, they meet up at this bar called the Swan, and there's more drinking that goes on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Um,
yeah. And then also you forgot when they got to the hotel he was staying at, there was a couple calls, one from one guy that they know, and then another one from a man named Kane.
aha, here we go.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that already has set it up at the beginning.
Yeah. On his way back to the hotel after a night of drinking, I don't even think this exists anymore. There's like, well, first of all, there's phone booths, right, which are not a thing anymore these days. And on my first time I ever went to London, I remember this because I was over in London on tour, and back then in the 90s, there's no cell phones, no computer, no internet, and I used to make calls out of a phone booth back to the States.
Yeah.
And I would see these weird sticker ads inside the phone booths for call girls.
Is that a real thing there?
That was a real thing, man. I remember like I would call collect, like call home every few days. It was like, and I would do it from a phone booth, like on the street somewhere. And in London, they had that. That was like a thing. And anyone who was around back then would probably, the phone booth era, would realize that that was a thing. You'd have like these weird ads inside the phone booth if you fancied a shag, and you wanted to, pay some money, you could set that up if you fancy a shag.
Yes, that's a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The what's interesting, like before they get to that part, couple they meet up with their friend Kent Allard as well. And Allard talks about the harmonic convergence. That's the
Oh,
thing
right.
that
Yeah.
yeah, and synchronicity and all this stuff. And uh, the other thing too is he cuts himself on the broken glass. And when he goes to go throw away the glass, he finds a Queen of Spades on the ground again.
Ah,
So
there we go. Coming back
yeah.
to that symbolism.
But yeah, then they go, yeah, punishment for Wendy, naughty schoolgirl in uniform.
Yeah, they're pretty funny.
Let's get on your knees, boy. Tie and tease TV rubber.
And he was talking about how it's like, how couldn't I just get like the straight sex from somebody, not some like weird fetish or kink or like.
Yeah. What's funny though is that Carson like pulls a bunch of them off and shoves them in Cody's coat and
Yeah.
Lennox's coat. And they say it's about 4 by the time they manage to get back to his hotel. I'm not sure if it's 4 at night or 4 in the morning or 4 in the afternoon.
I would say, yeah, I would like to think it's 4 a.m.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I guess because it says he was past 10 when he woke up. Um, well, actually, no. I think that uh, I don't think so, dude. I think it was 4 in the afternoon.
4 in the afternoon, he's looking to get a shag in.
Yeah, and they get back and he goes to sleep. He wakes up at 10, goes down to
Oh,
drink
there
some
you go.
more at the
Yeah,
bar,
right.
and then he comes back and he makes the phone call to one of the
Oh man.
numbers.
So it's 4 in the afternoon. He
Yeah,
passes out in his hotel room,
yeah,
sleeps a few hours, wakes up, hits the bottle again down in the lobby, and that's when he comes back and he makes his call, you
yep,
know, just to check it out. You know what I mean?
yeah. And it's a weird thing because he tries to pretend like he's like from Texas or whatever, and the voice calls him Cody Lennox.
Yeah, he's like, as you know, as you wish, Cody Lennox.
So then he kind of finally like he falls asleep, forgets what he did, and all of a sudden the woman's in his room, like without opening a pass key or anything, and she's dressed all in black with like a pale face, and and then like she like basically like starts like stripping and is like trying to get on top of him, and then all of a sudden um the all of a sudden a man, Kane, obviously wearing kicker boots, punker black leathers, and a lot of chains and badges and things. His combed back red hair and short beard were like rust surrounding a brutal face, and his eyes were cold blue and malevolent. Lennox quickly looked away. It's time to try pinching himself. He tried. It hurt. Stay out of this, Kane, said the woman.
Yeah, so they obviously know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to
It
think that Kane's got like a discharge, pin or something like that on his jacket.
sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like he's like being straight up punk in this part. And that's and then basically the lady gets up and then tries to come after him, and he a globe of blue fire darted from her fingers towards Kane. It faded before it reached him, and he says, "Pathetic. Now get out." She grabs her clothes, runs away, and Lennox almost failed to notice that her feet were changing into cloven hooves.
Uh-huh. Yeah. He
Yeah,
also notes that Lennox also notes that he's a bit taller than Kane too.
yeah,
A little bit of like I think Wagner's ego kind of peering through just a bit.
yeah. Because Kane's like,
He's this massive, like, yoked up like dude.
yeah, yeah. But he wakes up and there are literally shoes underneath his bed, and but he kind of thinks that it's a dream, and I kind of just kind of doesn't think anything about it. But yeah, he wakes up in the morning, so that's why I thought the same thing. I thought they were coming back and forth in the morning, and then I reread it and I was like, wait, no, it's 4 in the afternoon. He falls asleep for 4 hours, 6 hours. Can you imagine, dude? Can you imagine being that drunk in the middle of the day, like, dude,
And also
after a
like
plane fight?
yeah, and also kind of like jet lag too. I know
Yeah,
that like when I've flown to Europe, that first day is brutal.
yeah. When gone to Europe, the first day is real bad. Like both the times we got in the morning, you're in the, because I've been to France, I've been to Sweden, Norway, and when we flew in, both the times it was like you got there in the morning, which was nice, but then if you get there in the morning, you gotta kind of keep yourself up
Yeah,
until
you gotta stay
nighttime.
awake. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't let yourself fall asleep,
which can be pretty brutal. If you didn't sleep very good on the plane or something, like
which I never
it's
do.
yeah. Um, so I remember both those times by the time nighttime rolled around, I was like dead. I was like, but that's the key though, is if you get in the morning, you need to stay up and go to bed at the normal time you would there. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're gonna be fucked the whole rest of the trip, right?
Yeah, dude, I remember the first time I was on a nightliner in Europe. It's like I never because there was a driver and all the drives are like overnight. So it's like my hours never changed to European hours. I would like stay up all night. I'd sleep until like maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon and just like, yeah, that just because by then it's time to do something. So it's just like the weirdest existence.
Yeah, I really fucked with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they go and um they go somewhere, meet up with his friends again. They have some plowman's lunch with this guy Stilton, and do some more drinking. So
And
he kicks off the day and gets rid of his hangover with some more
some more
alcohol.
booze. Yeah, some more booze.
Two, 2 pints of lager, put him right.
Um, Now the one thing that's kind of we have to mention too is Lennox doesn't believe any of this stuff is really happening because he's in this sort of like drunken haze the whole time and he thinks he's hallucinating or dreaming a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, it takes a while for him to like finally realize that. something's actually going on. But you know, and yeah, we'll get into some of the interesting ideas in the story. But in this part, so they have lunch. They go to this place, and he looks over and sees Lennox looks over and sees a woman who looks exactly like the woman from the night before. So he decides to go up and try to talk to her, but play it cool. Decides to see if it's the same lady or not. So he goes up to go buy some cigarettes, and and as he goes forward, um, is when Kane all of a sudden shows up again, but this time as like a workman.
Yeah, he's got like some kind of like a boiler outfit on or something like that.
Yeah, he's just like a construction worker, like
Construction
coming in.
worker.
Yeah. He says, and he has the lady in black turn around, and her face is a leathery mask of tattered flesh clinging to a blackened skull. So then Lennox goes and throws up. Kane comes in and goes, um, "That's twice now. You and I need to talk, Cody. How about over dinner? Have my girl get in touch."
Yeah, so we're starting to see there's like, Lennox is part of this drama that's going on between these forces, and we'll get more into like which forces these actually are. So yeah.
Yeah. And he asked them like, "Where did the girl go?" And they're like, "There was no girl there. You like went up, but Kane was there actually. Like I think they say that they saw him talk to some guy,
Yeah.
but there was no woman there."
So maybe this is part of, who knows? It's like, maybe maybe Lennox is imagining some of these things, or maybe that woman is like, you know, getting into his consciousness somehow, and he's, she's projecting herself in front of him, or who
Well,
knows exactly.
well, there's also the aspect of the which we find out a little bit later about the time and like that he said like they can these things are operating on a basically like a kind of dimension of our like time dimension or something like that. Like other people can't see the like these forces, and that's something that he's gotten into with the Kane stories quite a bit. Is that the demons and things exist, but they're kind of like trans-dimensional creatures or something like that. So I think
Yeah.
that's what's going on with the woman, I think. Um, but as they're sitting there, all of a sudden, another woman walks up and asks, "Are you Cody Lennox?" And he looks up and it's this like very beautiful woman with short red hair and wearing um mirrored shades, just like Kane always does. Who's almost as tall as Lennox, very tall, holding a copy of his novel, "They Do Not Die." The other thing about Lennox that I think is a little bit of uh, fantasy for Wagner is that he's described as being a fairly successful writer, but I don't think Wagner was ever particularly very successful, was he? Like, I mean, the Kane novels sold some, but he never really wrote a bunch of horror novels, right? He just wrote a
No.
bunch of stories. So
Yeah, yeah. The only novels that he has are those Kane novels. That's it. Everything's short stories.
yeah, but this
Yeah.
character is like a novel. He's written novels,
Yeah,
like
he's
he's
like a Stephen King,
yeah.
stature or something like that.
Which makes you wonder, maybe Wagner kind of wished that he was like maybe maybe that's something Wagner wished for himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I'm sure. Why not? It's like,
Yeah.
if you're going to try to make a living out of writing, you want to actually do well. Like I don't, wouldn't fault him for that, really.
No, I think he made some good money off of because Warner bought the Kane books. I know he made some good money off of those, but he never really leveraged it into doing like, and that's probably the alcohol to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Like he just never really leveraged it into like actually making himself like a big writer. And I think he had the potential if he had maybe written some like horror novels, like I think he might have been able to kind of cross that line into being more successful, you know what I mean?
It really is just like a tragedy, if you ask me, man. Because like I love his writing, and he's got really interesting things that happen in his books and stories. And it's just once again, it's just like that monkey on his back of like, abuse of alcohol and anything else he was doing. It just stood in his way, man. It's just a really sad situation.
Yeah, it's really sad. And unlike like Stephen King, I mean, I know he drank before he became successful, but he really, I mean, I think he really became successful with his novels and stuff before his addiction problems really took off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, his thing was cocaine. Yeah, so
Yeah. He drank a lot of beer and then he got like hooked on coke in the 80s and wrote, not a thousand-page novels, but
yeah,
but I think if Wagner had been able to really leverage himself into being more successful before the alcohol really took a hold of him, I mean, but the other part of it though is it really is a shame, but Wagner also he kind of lived that way on purpose in a little bit, right? Like he knew that he wanted to have a good time, not a long time, so. But it's still a shame. I think like there's so much potential.
no, totally.
But anyway, so we get find out this lady is her name is Clest, Klesst, which is interesting. Um, and then as he's about to go, there was he finds that like maybe she dropped a note for him, and it
Yeah.
says, "Cody, let's do dinner. Meet you in the lobby of the Bloomsbury Park Hotel at 6:30 this evening. My treat, Kane." And Glenn makes the decision not to go, which was a mistake.
Yeah, he blows it off, gets drunk, sleeps, leaves the hotel, and then he gets attacked by these these like basically they're zombies, I would say, right? They're like these undead like creatures.
Yeah, it reminds me of the creatures in Constantine.
Yeah,
Kind of reminds me of those
I
creatures
could
in
see that. Yeah,
yeah, like just kind of demon zombie things. Yeah,
yeah.
or like Evil Dead.
Oh yeah, okay, like Deadites maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which probably would have been an influence on Wagner. I'm sure he loved Evil Dead. So
yeah.
yeah, um, and it's the lady in black is the one who's like leading the rotted like demon people, and then all of a sudden, Kane steps out of a passageway. This time he's wearing his three-piece pinstripe business suit, um, beard, bowler, and umbrella. This is where he shows up in his Avengers wear. And he pulls out essentially a laser gun
Yeah.
and blasts like them. And then Class drives up and they throw him in and drive away.
I just think it's so funny that in each scene he has a different outfit on, basically.
Yeah.
Like whenever he shows up, he's wearing a different outfit. Like, he's the construction worker, he's like the punk rocker, and now
Like,
he's like the British Brit clothed Avengers sort of guy.
yeah. And then later on, he shows up in like a Grateful Dead t-shirt
He's
and
got
stuff.
he's got like tie
Yeah.
dye. It's
Yeah. It's weird.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
this story's good because it's fun, but it also has some cool stuff in it too. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's got some really cool ideas in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this next part is I really love. So they go back to um Kane's place. And I love this. You got dead bits all over your suit, class scolded. Um and basically yeah, Kane describes the weapon as a uh broadcast power and tight contained trans time, two black holes locked in antimatter matrix. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Yeah, but it's like
Yeah.
it just sucked them away into like some other time dimension or something, I guess. Um,
Or, you mentioned, black holes. Maybe they just got like crushed by the infinite gravity of a black hole.
yeah, exactly. It's something that he created. But and Kane's like Cody's really thinking this is all hallucination, and Kane's like, frustrated because he's like, so he gives him some of the white powder,
Yeah. Yeah,
as he's
his like
throwing up.
wonder drug.
Yeah, and the um but this is how we kind of find out some of the stuff um like Quest is um much older than she looks, as is
Yeah,
Kane.
makes
I'm
sense.
guessing Quest is also a immortal being of some sort. Yeah,
Right.
his daughter. Um and uh and they start talking about the harmonic convergence, like and this kind of like which is basically Kane kind of describes it as like one of those moments when everything kind of aligns in this grand moment of synchronicity where somebody who has a kind of psychic power can actually open the gates to like these other dimensions essentially.
Yeah. And that's where Lennox fits in.
That's where Lennox fits in. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's during this section where he talks about, this is after Cain has accomplished his quest to kill God.
Yeah, and that's what's awesome about this. Like Kane talks about how like with the harmonic convergence, only evil forces were on like released, and and uh and Lennox asks, "How come only evil forces released? Because there are no good forces. So then you don't believe there is a god? There was a god. Well, then where is he? I killed him," said Kane. I love
So there's no
that.
there's like evil and less evil now, basically. There's like no good anymore.
But I have a feeling that there never was good. I think
Yeah.
God was evil
Well,
too. It's always
yeah.
described as like this mad like God and or like basically like these slaves that he created that he was unhappy with and just cast away. You know what I mean? Like there's so I think in Wagner's world there is not there's evil and then there's less evil and that's about it. There's no
Yeah.
good in the world. I just love this. I love that I killed him. It's awesome. So we know that somewhere between the events of a Gothic touch and this story, Kane accomplished his goal of killing the god finally. And now he's like trying maybe in that kind of maybe that explains like why he's like doing other stuff now. He's like, well, I guess I can be a record producer or a
Oh, we forgot to mention that
publisher or all stuff,
Kane actually, there's a section where where Kane bought the publishing company, Midland Publishing,
Yeah, I
that
think that's
is.
in the next section actually, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I wasn't forgot where it came in the storyline.
Yeah, but yeah, basically that's like the next chapter we find out that yeah, Kane bought the publisher that all of them work for, and then invites them all to a gathering essentially. And this is when Kane really shows up, like or like for real. And that's the question that is there is a question about about the things that happened. What happened the night before was real. Kane and Kless did show up. They snapped the earring on his ear, remember?
Yep, that's right.
Which is described as the mark of Cain. It's like
Yep,
this
the market
earring.
came. Yeah.
And and what I love about Lennox is that he wakes up the next day all hungover, finds the earring, and goes, "Wow, I must have just went and got an ear pierced for some reason." Like he's really trying hard as he can to just pretend like none of this is really happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and like the thing that's funny is that yeah, so then but then Kane shows up and goes, "Yeah, I am your publisher now. I bought all your books." And it's like he's kind of doing it just to make it easier for him to convince, you know, Lennox of what's going on, right? Like he's like but he's also like, "Well, I can also make some money maybe from it as well, you know?"
Yeah. I feel like out of this would have made a really good movie, I think, because, it's like almost like a Constantine style film where it takes place in England. Um, there's like some humor to it. I think this could have been like a 90-minute film, actually.
Oh, definitely. And what you mentioned about being like Constantine, this story really makes me think of both Hellblazer and also one of my favorite comic books, The Invisibles. Did you ever read The Invisibles
Yeah, I
from Grant
did.
Morrison?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about Grant Morrison before, definitely.
Yeah. But The
Yeah.
Invisibles is like one of my favorite, my favorite things from him aside from his Batman was the Invisibles and the um the nameless one, the one that
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, that
which is actually
Lovecraftian like sort of horror, space horror.
yeah, which is also I think how we started became friends like
Yeah.
at the start was because
Yep.
I recommended that to you. But yeah, but Invisible is like the reason why I because it also has this Avengers influence because Grant Morrison has talked about the importance of like James Bond and Avengers on him, but it's like got the same kind of like trans-dimensional thing, like these evil forces trying to break in. And the Invisibles aren't like good necessarily, but they basically want like unlimited freedom for everybody. They're like really like very radical about like freedom and everything against these kind of tyrannical forces trying to break in from this other dimension. And I just feel like there's something to that in I don't know, something I think it's just a shared influence because and maybe Grant Morrison read this, who knows, but because Visibles came out in the 90s, a little bit later in the 90s, but Constantine was written around this time. Of course, Alan Moore created Constantine and Swamp Thing in like
Yeah.
86 or something like
Yeah, it
that.
was in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, there was just seemed to be something going around in this time period, and I feel like Wagner kind of tapped into that in the story. You know what I mean?
No, definitely.
But yeah, so Kane comes he to their little gathering, they having like their lunch they're having, and gives them invitations to a party he's doing, and he's going to take them all out for lunch. But Lennox decides to, he doesn't want to hang out. Like I think he's getting freaked out a little bit that Kane's real,
Yeah.
So he like jets with Carson, and Carson's actually not a writer. He's he's a artist, a
Artist,
painter.
yeah, he does the artwork for book covers and things.
Yeah, like he's done all the book covers for Lennox and a bunch of other guys. So he's kind of like a Brahm or like this famous fantasy and horror artist guys in the 80s. Like that was like the 80s and early 90s was like the golden age of fucking awesome paperback covers. You know what I
Yeah, like
mean?
Michael Whalen and like all those dudes.
Yeah, exactly. He's kind of like one of those type of guys, and yeah, I really would like to see uh book covers go back to that. Instead, it's gone the opposite direction to uglier and uglier covers, I feel like.
Yeah, dude, I hear you, man.
But essentially at this point, like he decides like they had mentioned to him that she had a shop. Where was the shop? It was in Kensington Market.
Yeah, Kensington, yeah.
And he decides to go down to Kensington Market to see if she's there as well. And I guess it's like Kensington Market's like this some type of like I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like a bunch of booths kind of. It sounds like just a big space of like all
Yeah, it's
these
like kind
like
of like a
little
flea market type spot where like everyone has their little booth and they're selling stuff like, t-shirts and used clothes and stuff like that.
yeah. It says three or four or so floors crammed with many tiny shops catering primarily to the latest punk styles. Latex and leather fashions, all glistening black and tailored like a second skin, crowded the aisles. Yeah, so it's like a punk goth industrial like little shop kind of place, you know what I mean? And this is when he uh he finds Clest there. And I think I think this is really where he's starting to reckon with the reality of everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that it's not just like this drunken hallucination that he's having and that this is actually real life that's happening or there's some interdimensional stuff going on that makes it seem like it's unreal.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is an interesting thing. Like, is Kane really your father? Obviously, he doesn't look old enough. You'd be surprised. And your mother? Kane killed her. How did you feel about that? She meant to sacrifice me to a well-known demon. She made a pact at my birth.
See, I want to read that story, man.
Yeah, yeah. I'd she says I'm lots older than you think. Uh then yeah, then like she's like we want to buy something. She want to have your nipples pierced.
It's, That
He's
was
like,
like pretty
no.
far out back then, man. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, now you have what's her name walking around with wearing like nipple clamp
Who's that? Who?
dress. Did you see those pictures from the Grammys?
I tried not. I saw one thing where some woman's got like her dress like clamped to her nipples or something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. I can't think of what her
I
name is.
forgot her
Yeah.
name. I don't even know who she was. Like my
She's
wife
a,
was like, check this out, and I'm like, who is this?
she's like a singer, but yeah, I was like yeah, now just walking down the runway like that. But yeah. Um and Carson walks in and he's got a Nico album in plastic bag, which is a good
Pretty
choice. I love
cool.
Nico.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Carson has a tattoo, a devil's head above the number 666. Can't
There you
remember
go.
where I had it done. I don't know where I got it. And Carson's from London. He's there. I did it, says Clest. So,
Yeah. See,
um,
it's funny, man. Like this, this is the last chronological Kane story, but I actually didn't really favor the more modern ones, but this one is a good story, and it's like it's sad that there isn't more in this world, you know?
yeah, like the last couple I wasn't really too keen on, but then this one, like I got done with it. And I was like, man, I wish there was more stories in this style that he did. Like,
Yeah,
because I really enjoyed reading this, and I was like, I would have loved to see Kane in this because this was more what I wanted out of Kane, you know?
yeah, in the modern sort of setting,
Yeah.
and even that backstory with Clest, like I'd like to have seen a story that covers that too, or like the mother, what's the story there? That's really a bummer that we don't get that.
Yeah. Happened sometime after, you know, the other sword and sorcery stories, and I think it probably was back in the sword and sorcery era when this happened, I would imagine, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so after all this, the one thing she does do is she puts this like dog collar thing on his neck and makes him pay like $5 for it. And he can't get it off. It's pretty funny. And they go and drink a bunch more. Um, then Lennox comes back, so it's the middle of the day. They drank more. He comes back. He passes out. Wakes up around 7. Drinks some scotch.
Ugh.
Uh, Poured some on his earlobe,
Yeah,
and then
man.
then takes a shower. But he actually manages to get the lock off of this collar. So, um, and then he dresses. He's wearing a baggy cotton designer shirt, matching trousers, a narrow necktie, loosely knotted, and his favorite linen jacket. So, it's looking very. That sounds very 80s, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, it's got like some like an 80s like sort of the linen jacket really,
it,
one of those like unconstructed blazers or whatever the hell they're called.
yeah, it just reminds me of stuff that like David Bowie would wear in that time period.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Um. So they get to he goes to the Hotel Russell in Southampton Row, where Kane has like this large suite of rooms. And this is where Blacklight shows up again. Blacklight's the doorman for the party, which is cool. And and this is when he decides, okay, this is actually like a real publisher. Like he's kind of surprised, like this is a real publisher party, like any other publisher party he's been to. You know what I mean? Like, and he also decides he wants to get it on with Quest at this point. So
Well, yeah, I mean, she sounds pretty sick actually.
yeah, she sounds pretty hot. Um,
And she seems really cool too.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't blame him. I would too. Um, Although I'm not like into like short hair in women, but sometimes women can pull it off, right?
True.
Um, but yeah, so um, that's when let's see. At some point, so Kane kind of brings him, oh, we got to talk business, and he gives him some of the drug to try to sober him up. And yeah, he says, "You're not a publisher. For the moment, I am. Needed a real-time framework. Bought Midland books and kept the staff. Nice cover, and I may even turn a profit." Um, I think when he says that real time, I think the Kane has like found some way to operate in like a pocket dimension or something, if that makes sense. Even earlier with Quest, like it's described when they step away from her shop, she suddenly kind of disappears behind them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that there's like we saw some of that in the Gothic Touch later on with like the dimensional stuff. I think Kane's found some way to manipulate time, space, dimensions, and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely.
But anyway, so um, the Lennox decides to go out and get some air for whatever reason, and this is when he runs into the lady in black. But it turns out that it's actually like you know his wife, his dead
Yeah,
wife, standing in front of him,
yeah.
Kathy.
This part is gets like dark. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, because like it reminds me. You ever read The Fisherman by John Langan? You ever read that?
No, I don't
There's
know what that
a
is.
there's a part in The Fisherman that's like this where because it has to do with this dude um, dealing with grief and this other being comes to him as his wife, which is exactly what this is. Like, he's Lennox is definitely still grieving. So when his wife appears in front of him, it's sort of like, at first he thinks it's her, but then he starts to realize that it's not actually her.
Yeah, and what we do find out as well at some point in this is that um his wife and her lover that he
Yeah,
didn't were found dead in a place. But I guess he didn't kill them. It doesn't seem like he's under suspicion, but
right.
but like and so you can imagine how that would fuck you up, right?
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Both of
Um
those things, finding out that your wife was cheating on you and then her, being potentially murdered. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's pretty fucked. Um and she says something like you cast your lot with Kane. Um and she's the weird thing about it is that she's wearing like a plaster death mask. Like her face is like a mask, which I think is interesting. His wife sounded like pretty hot though, from the
Oh yeah,
description. Yeah.
Wagner always writes, I can't think of he's ever had any mediocre looking women in his stories.
No. You can always tell a lot of times with hetero guys like they're like you think about Howard, it's like always these hot ass women or whatever, it's pretty funny. Um and essentially he's basically being yeah, he's being deceived. She takes him down into the I think like what the subway, right? And
Yeah,
they have
so
this conversation.
they're taking this stairway down, but they're going past they're going deeper and deeper, and it's into this kind of subterranean like underworld sort of. That's the sense I get, or even the steps and everything start having like this weird film on it and everything.
Yeah. And she's basically trying to like convince him that Kane is like, you know, evil essentially, right? And
Right.
then and she talks about him like immortal, says Kathy, unless you can help us stop him. That's why he bonded you. And they get down to the spot where it's this underground platform of sorts. The overhead tunnel was oozing tendrils of gooey foulness through misshapen tiles. The rails seemed to be writhing like salted worms. The platform and all were clogged by enveloping steamy mist. And as far as Lennox could see in the mist, hundreds of would-be passengers aimlessly shuffled against one another, rotting their tatters and medieval clothing. Sorry about the mess, said a figure standing in the platform. Been holding this lot here for quite some years. Really in a remarkable good state of preservation, though, all things considered, don't you think? And he says, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Satan.
And
And he's
once
like,
again, this is like that shifting, that shifting dimensional stuff here.
yeah, he's like shows Satan shows up like wearing widow's peak and a beard, dressed kind of in a cape and medieval costume. Um, there are no horns and tails, or whether would you feel rather feel better if there was, you know? And then he shifts again into like kind of 1900 like thing. Um, and she shifts as well at the exact same time, right? So I think that and basically this is when Kane makes his move,
Yeah.
and basically like they wanted him to lead Kane. Kane needed to be led down there to kind of like figure out where Satan and all these like things were like lurking in this place. You know what I mean? um, and this is when we find out he also calls him Sathonis, which is remember we met him before in
Yep.
Raven's Eyrie.
Yep. So it's the same entity and the same, and actually Lennox after this questions him about whether or not, it's the devil or Satan or, any of this stuff. And Kane reveals to him that it's like, well, yeah, it's this alien deity, this alien presence that, maybe you want to call him the devil or Satan or these names, but he's this sort of, otherworldly force, essentially.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. He says here. Um. To the best your theology can comprehend, yes. Disregarding Judeo-Christian myth, that was the demon lord. What you saw was a physical embodiment of a hostile and predatory force alien to this world. Yeah. And are you also a Judeo-Christian myth? Very possibly, but don't believe everything you read. There are at least two sides to every story. Um, and Kane says, I am a physical entity, Kane says, just as is Clest, just as you are. Satan, as you saw him, is a physical embodiment of a transdimensional force. And Kathy, what you saw was a succubus, another demon, as your theology interprets such matters. Don't blame yourself for summoning her. You've been set up all along. And that's when
Yeah.
Kane lays it out. Like, you can control synchronicity, Cody. It was a Latin power unconsciously used. Their harmonic convergence has intensified your powers. You haven't attained real control yet, but I can teach you. And this is after like they have this fight with Satan, and I like he calls him Kane calls his place Geiger out of Bosch,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and this is after Kane blew everything away with his ray gun, and then essentially they try to escape, but they start moving, and Lennox I guess has control, like Kane's trying to get him to think about like good things or whatever, like lead them out, and instead they end up in like the future, like a like projection of the future, basically, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
which there's a reality that Kane wants to not happen. It's called Army. He's like the harmonic convert. This is like Armageddon, the day of judgment. The harmonic convergence gave them the power. They open the gates of hell and raise the dead. Only no one flying up to heaven. It won't be a pretty sight. So this is what Kane's trying to avoid happening, essentially. And I like the kind of description of this because it's the Queen's Water was a blackened ruin, as were all of the buildings in sight, save for the Church of St. George the Martyr across the way. The sky was a sodium flame yellow and outlined an endless horizon of blackened heaps of fused stone and glass. There was no clear evidence of sun or moon through the glowing haze. Occasional and distant shapes seemed to sail on black wings across the dead skies. Otherwise, there was no sign of life. No sign of life whatsoever. I love that description.
What a brutal ending, man.
Yeah.
But kind of what we were talking about earlier, it's like the next Kane's still he's still alive, so there's like those far future there's like a whole genre of like far future fantasy stories. That's kind
Yep.
of would be the next logical step after something like this, I feel like, like another that million years after that moment, there's like a whole other world that comes from that.
Yeah. And this is when we describe so Kane controls some time. That's something we didn't mention earlier. He stopped time earlier. which is he calls time. And then he also describes, I can control time and real time within limits. We followed you in the near time to find the center of power. They shunted us forward, future forward on the way back to real time. I have only physical power here. I need you, Cody, to get back to keep all of this from happening. And as and basically, kind of Quest manages to get him to think of, she's like, "Come on, don't you want to go back and party and like make love?" And he's like, "Let's go." And like next thing they know, they're like ripped back into like normal time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love this ending of the thing. Like, uh, yeah, Kane. He's like, "I'm gonna throw in with on your side. The only one thing still bothers me, Kane. Granted, I've met the forces of evil, only inimical forces, Cody. It's also relative. We'll argue about this later. So when do I meet the forces of good? I already told you, Cody, there are none. I'm the only hope this world has."
Nah, it's great, man.
I love that. It's like
Yeah.
because that's the world. There's no actual good or evil in Wagner's world. That's when he's saying like inimical, like the Satan and them have a plan for the future that's not within Kane. Kane doesn't want to live in that fucked up like Armageddon world, right? So, he's throwing a lot into humanity to try to make sure that doesn't happen because he wants to keep on going, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I love that. But it just feels like the setup to like more stories, you know what I mean?
Exactly, man. I mean that world, the world that they have, like would had so much more potential, I think, you know. But I do would like to have seen like some kind of far future version of Kane too, you know, after an apocalypse.
Well, yeah, I mean, and with the idea that there's multiple forms of time,
Yeah.
you could totally do a story where he's in that future time, of just like a Armageddon, post Armageddon, like demons rule the world time, you know what I mean?
Did have you ever seen the movie Marabito?
Marabito.
It's like a Japanese. We were talking about it on Necromaniacs, on one of the episodes. I'm not sure if it posted yet, but it's like Japanese Lovecraftian kind of film where they descend into this underworld. It's very, very, it reminds me of that part of the book where they're going down into, you know, down the stairs into the subway and all that.
And I haven't read that, no. Or
Yeah.
not, never that seen that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. That's a good movie, man. If you could find it, it's really good.
I'll have to check, see if I can find it. Um, I remember you guys mentioning it.
Yeah.
I think on one of the episodes.
Yeah. I love all that shit, man. Like, you know, like, As Above, So Below, like,
Yeah, that's a great movie.
you know, anything that kind of references like, you know, kind of Dante's Inferno, like Prospero, like leading him down to the nine circles of hell or something like that. It's always very you know, that kind of thing always resonates with me.
Me too. I really like the kind of descent,
Yeah.
and and I like how Kane uses these things like Sathanas as like a transdimensional being of some sort, right? Instead of like he exists, but he's not a Judeo-Christian sense, which is actually the thing I like about all these ideas that Wagner has is that a lot of them are kind of my actual beliefs about things because
Yeah. No, I follow you on that too, man.
I don't really think there is good or evil in the world. I don't think there are, and I think that these things that operate as like these transdimensional kind of you know entities, you know what I mean, who can take physical embodiments of time or exist in this other dimension or whatever. Um, so I really like that aspect of the Wagner stories a lot, is his kind of stance on magic and how that all that operates. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, I really love this story. And it's a lot of fun. It is funny. I mean, it's kind of a comedy, I know, in a way, but then there's a lot of really cool, serious like ideas in it as well
Yeah.
that are really like fascinating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was kind of a there's definitely a lull in the first couple of first few modern day stories, I thought, you
Yeah,
know.
I didn't have high hopes for this one because after the last two,
Yeah, but we've been finished strong. This is the
it's
first
all.
time I actually read it because I didn't really like the modern age stories, so I never made it to this one until now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I never read either, and I really liked it. It's also the only one that's not doesn't read like a porn story too, so that might have part of it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
The but yeah, and the next one we're going to be covering is Road to Kings, his Conan novel. And did you see that picture I sent you?
Yeah, yeah, I just saw that just
Yeah.
before I logged in. Yeah.
Like I went to the bookstore today, um, which is like my bi-weekly like routine. Like I go have coffee with my friend Jack, and then on my way home I stop by the bookstore and look around. And somebody must have unloaded a bunch of their old Conan novels. So I found a copy of Road to Kings, which is nice because the one that I bought online years ago was like kind of jacked up with like a beat up, cover and stuff. So this one's like near perfect and got it for like $5. And I got Conan the Rebel, which was Paul Anderson's Conan novel, which I never
Yeah,
read.
I didn't read that one.
Um the Sword of Skelos, which is one of Andrew Offutt's ones, and I really like Andrew Offutt. I think he's one of the better pastiche guys.
I read that one. I have sort of Skelos, but I never read the Conan the Rebel or Conan the Swordsman. Never read that one either.
Conan the Swordsman is like a collection of short stories written by Elsbrog de Camp and Lynn Carter and Bjorn Nystrom. I have another edition of it, but that one I don't have that one, and I thought the cover was really cool. So I Conan stuff. I pick up. I collect different editions. I have like multiple editions of some of those books. You know what I mean, with different covers and shit. Um, but yeah, uh, it's nice. It's kind of a funny thing to find. Like that, I just found out like you know randomly right before we're about to start covering it. It's like a nice, better edition than one I have. So
Dude, I don't have access to any cool stores like that around here, believe it or not. It's like, you know, uh, there's the used bookstores. Like when I used to live in a different town, there was a used bookstore, but it was more of a junk shop, really. You know what I mean? Like
right,
I picked up a couple things there, but nothing really notable. And then like all the books, the independent bookstores around here don't cater to the kind of shit that we like.
right, yeah. I mean, the place I go to by my house is called Second and Charles, and it's basically like it's kind of like half price books or something like that. It's like it's got like books and games and movies and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And I'm always like surprised with the shit I find in there. Like, I mean, it all depends on what people sell there, right? But I mean, I found some really crazy shit there, that I'm just like, oh wow, like it's a really good place to get. Like that's where I've gotten almost all my Gamel books, for example. Like it's a really great place to find old paperbacks and stuff. So
Yeah. Mike Scandato, like he mentions every now and then when he goes to the post office, he finds books, like random books that are awesome. Like
yeah,
he
like
found all his Conan books there, just like laying there.
dude, he found Night Winds, didn't he?
Yeah, Night Winds. Yeah. It's
He found
like
yeah.
like manna from the sky. It just fell from heaven, and it's like this fucking guy, like these books are like kind of hard to find, really, if you looked for them, but
Or
he
what
just finds them.
was it Night Winds or was it Book of Kane? It was one of those two. It was one of the short story collections.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot which one, but it was something cool that I was like, damn, like, you just for free. You just found them.
Dude,
Like
yeah, when he posted that, I was like, it's like, dude, like that Wagner book you have is like worth like $40.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
know,
mean?
right?
Like he just found
Yeah.
it.
It's fucking nuts, man.
I wish I had that kind of luck.
Yeah, there's like yeah, oh man, there's not out here in the where I live, it's like pretty generic as far as bookstores go. I mean, there's like, there's a Barnes and Noble, like, whatever, but which is actually, I'm not gonna hate, man. Barnes and Noble has, if you want to buy books brand new, they got a pretty good selection of horror and science fiction and,
Yeah.
literature
Last
and all that. Yeah.
last week I went to one of the Barnes and Noble over here, and I got a um what's his name Baron
Oh, Laird Barron.
Laird Baron. Like I got his newest collection.
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah, and
like it's cool. Like they have good shit.
yeah, they had Wagati,
Yep.
Laird Baron. I feel like they've gotten better again. Like there was a long time where Barnes and Noble kind of sucked. Like you could never find anything there unless you're looking at
Yeah.
the bargain bin. Um, but now like they've like expanded back. So their horror and sci-fi and fantasy sections at the one by my house is like expanded to back to closer to what it was like when I
Yeah,
was a kid, like in
I
the
noticed
90s.
that.
Yeah.
They opened up a new one out here in Clark, which is the next town over.
Yeah.
That it's fucking massive, and we went in there when on the weekend it opened and bought like a bunch of cool stuff.
I
And,
it's
yeah.
it's really nice to see. It just makes I think that people have been reading more actual
Oh,
books as part
oh,
of yeah,
good. Yeah.
you know. I think that's part of why because Barnes and Noble's been doing pretty good and I mean um I think it's encouraging now. I'd like to see people read more.
Well, the fact that they opened up a new one instead of closing one, I think is great, you know.
Yeah. Ironically, I think it's a lot of younger kids who are like re-embracing like teenagers and stuff are re-embracing reading real
Good.
books as a kind of 'cause I think I've noticed like a general tendency in a lot of like teenagers, they're like just exhausted of like digital stuff, and then they see like the past that we had, and they kind of have this weird nostalgia for something they never knew. So they're all like kind of like going like my friend Jack has told me he's seen more and more kids like shopping at like Goodwills and like thrift stores for like trying to buy like vintage stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting.
Yeah, well, and also like that explains a lot of that kind of analog horror, like YouTube like projects that are out there. You know, it's that those are all like young people, like the dude who made Skinamarink, you know,
Yeah,
like that he's like a young guy. Like I forgot his last name is Ball, and
I think he's younger than me, right? He's like 30 or something like that.
yeah, he's like he was born in the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
So it's like the 80s, the sort of vibe, like Skinamarink feels like the late early 80s. You know what I mean? So he
Yeah.
wasn't alive for that shit. And that's the whole analog trip is like people like in their 30s or late 20s or 20s making films, shorts that have like that VHS quality to it, like that whole graininess and embracing these like things like malls and like spaces like that, like these weird liminal spaces, and that are just not, they're part of a different era, like malls are dying, man. It's like you go to the mall, it's not like it was when I was a kid. That was like, you know, the happening place, you know what I mean? Like you got everything
Yeah.
there at the mall. Now it's like these ghostly open spaces.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I like a little while ago, I got in a weird thing. I was watching a bunch of videos on YouTube, of people talking about like aspects of like, aesthetics from the 80s and 90s and stuff like that, early 2000s, what, etc. And it's a lot of them are being made by like, they're literally like, 20-year-old kids going and like searching through all this like old footage and
Yeah.
pictures and like talking about how things they're kind of what they understand of how things used to be. It's really fascinating. And you go and read the comments and all these like, you know, 16 to 20-year-olds are complaining about how they like how much they want like a real, real life and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's kind of sad, but it's also like in a weird way heartening that they want that in the first place because that's kind of a good thing, that they have the longing for that. Because I do think there was at least one generation, one like little mini generation of kids who didn't seem to want that at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they just wanted these like weird online like world, fake world to live in.
Yeah, like I think the first generation kids who lived under did the digital yoke, kind of like ate it up, and now and it seems like there's been kind of a turn against that, and I like seeing that. I hope that's continuing. Actually, gives me a little bit of hope for the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
otherwise, I don't see a lot of hope for the future of
Yeah, it's
humanity.
like without reading, you don't have any attention span. If you're just watching these 30-second video clips, like, your brain's gonna like, decompose.
Yeah, I don't like. I hate shorts, dude. I don't watch any
Yeah, I don't.
shorts.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's like, man, that stuff it's
Uh,
just you feel yourself getting stupider as you watch it.
yeah. Outside of like the sandwich videos he sends to
Oh,
all.
Talercio, man. Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
I still haven't gone there. It's like right by our practice space. And like the rest of the guys in my band have eaten there and gotten sandwiches. They don't, not every sandwich is crazy like the ones that that they have in the videos. They have like
Okay.
regular sandwiches too, you know.
Okay, they have normal ones too then. Yeah.
Yeah. There's that one though where he's like, nothing crazy, nothing crazy. It's
Dude,
like,
I've been saying that like because I've been talking with Drew Goss with like working on the Black Flame Altar album, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna try this out. Nothing crazy." I keep saying
yeah.
that.
Nothing crazy.
I'm gonna add some little keywords in this part. Nothing crazy. I just keep it's become like part of like something I say all the
It's
time
so
now.
funny, man. Yeah, well, apparently that guy's there every day, the sandwich guy.
Oh, really? So
Yeah,
you can
he's like
actually.
he makes the sandwiches, you know. It's so yeah, no we're not getting paid for this, but if you live in New Jersey, down the shore, like sort of like that no man's land between North Jersey and the shore, and you're on Route 35, check out Talercio's.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the sandwiches look like good, and then he just like starts adding too much stuff. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Yeah.
Like I would be fine with 1 or 2 layers less than what the final sandwich is.
Yeah, dude. I could see taking a bite out of one of those, but I can never eat more than that. You know what I mean? It's like it's just too intense.
Well, it'd be something where, the whole band buys one sub and you all have like a
Like a
slice of it.
piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, some of those things you feed like 8 people with them.
Yeah. They're fucking massive. But
Yeah.
I the definitely it's definitely kind of funny to watch though. But yeah, I don't really outside of that, I'm not into shorts like um I don't know. I'd rather just watch a video, on YouTube. Like I like actual, you know, actual length videos like, I mean, I'm not really here to watch like 1 minute of stuff.
Me neither, man. I need like something with like a some content, some impact.
The thing that's really frustrating me recently is the AI slop that's just like you see everywhere, and like the
Oh
fucking
God.
dude. I mean, can you like all the captions? Like if you're like going through and these like horrible like clickbait captions, like they're written with AI that are just like you can tell they're written with AI because it's totally not just nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just tired of it. I'm tired of all that stuff because all of a sudden now like there's like this certain tone to a lot of people are using it, not just like clickbait shit, but like a lot of pages are using more and more of that, and it's just annoying.
Yeah, it's really a sort of upsetting. I feel like I'm the beginning of the Terminator movie right now.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think analog living is a good movement. Should be
Yeah.
encouraged.
Yeah. No, definitely
Yeah.
reading real books, watching real movies, buying real
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. I just listened to you guys top 10.
Oh yeah,
Um,
man.
and
That was a lot of fun, man. I love doing that.
I know yeah, you and I had a lot of stuff on our top tens because we had both that Evoken, Clandestine Blaze, Hate Forest, Paradise Lost,
I was
and
surprised how much I
Darvaza.
liked.
So
Yeah, Darvazi. I know that I'm familiar. I like them because you turned me on to them, actually.
yeah, that album is really sick. And I mean
Yeah.
the previous have you listened to the previous one too?
Yeah, I'm going through their entire, the one before that, and just kind of absorbing all of it because I never really listened to them before this.
Yeah, because they have a couple EPs that are definitely worth listening to, and then that album, and then the album before was like number 2 on my list that year, I think, or 3. Um, yeah, because ironically, it was actually Hate Forest was number 1 that year, and then Ritual Death and then Darvaza was a. I remember that. So
That I'm surprised how much I like the Paradise Lost because like I like them, but I'm not a huge fan like you and Jackie are. You
yeah,
know, I mean they're cool, they're a great band, but this one like I'll like if a new, especially lately, if they put out a new album, I'll run it a couple times and then I won't listen to it for a while. But like the new Paradise Lost was something that kind of it is real catchy and it stayed with me for a long time.
yeah, and it seemed like that. I mean, for a lot of people, even like I saw KR from Obsidian Shrine post about how he like couldn't stop listening to it, like, and he wasn't really a big fan of them either. So it seems like it was one of those albums that really got a lot of people. I was actually surprised it wasn't higher on Jackie's list. Because he sent me his list after we did our episode, and I was like really shocked that Paradise Lost was like number 7 or something like that, right?
Yeah, he's like a super fan. Like you know what I mean? I really thought that was going to be his number one, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and it was like it was my number two. I mean, it was like, yeah, I was just I kind of figured it was going to be up there in the top, you know, few, but um, but it did make sense that werewolves would be number one for Jackie, though. You know, he's like the world. He's probably the world's biggest werewolves fan. You know what I mean?
That's like the only proper like death metal record I had in my whole top 10, actually.
Yeah, I didn't have any death metal in my top 10, so
Yeah,
I had black metal, and then of course Tombs was number one, like,
thank you,
and
man. I really
yeah,
appreciate that. You
and
know,
well deserved. You know, was probably my favorite album of the year, and since I got to hear it earlier than it came out, like I'd been listening to a lot longer than other people as well. So
yeah, it's I appreciate it, man. Seriously, it's you never know if anyone's gonna like any of the shit that you do, and it's cool. It's
well,
people that I whose opinions I can matter to me like it, so that's cool.
and I believe that your album showed up on every single person that I had on my show on their
Oh,
top
really?
list as well. Yeah, so
Cool.
Shaw, because Drew Goth had you at number seven. Sawgrowth had you at number six, and then I know that Sage, I can't remember what number it was, but Sage had you as well. So
Oh, cool, man. I
it
tuned it
showed.
out, man. I
Yeah,
don't. It's just like I always tune out like any kind of stuff. It's done. You know what I mean? Like once the record's done, it's done, and it's gonna move on.
yeah, definitely. But I mean, it's cool. I mean, um, and yeah, the last year was a pretty strong year overall. So, but the
Every year
Hokum,
it's strong. It seems like there's tons of great records that come out every year, and it's so hard to even just come up with it. Like a top 10, man. I might start compiling like a top 30 and start running that on Everything Went Black, and then just do the top 10 with Jackie.
yeah, like kind of what I do. Like
Yeah,
I
it's what
do
you
the
do. Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, because I do the a couple episodes with people and break my list down. I like doing it that way because, dude, I mean, I think this year I just went top 50 because it's just that's what I did last year. And I was like, there's just so many albums, like it's hard for me to get down to 30, like.
Yeah.
But I could probably get down to 30, but then there'd be a lot of stuff I would like to have mentioned, but that's just how I am. I'm like neurotic that way. Like I want to mention all this stuff. But
That's what I ended up doing because like I even had stuff written down on my show notes that I didn't mention. I was just like I had like a list of like 15 records that were honorable mentions. And while we're doing the episode, I was like, yeah, I can't, let me just grab like randomly a few. And there's some bands that I like All Hell, I wish I'd mentioned their record, and
yeah, they were in my top 20 for like 'cause they're 19, I think, or 18. So
yeah, fucking awesome band, dude. They
yeah.
would have been in my top 20 probably that record.
Yeah, I mean Sunsetter was sick. It was
Yeah.
probably the best album that I mean, I told Jacob that when I had him on the podcast. It's like this is probably the best All Hell album you guys have done. I thought it was
Oh
amazing.
yeah, dude. They're great. We did some dates with them a few years ago. They're really good live too, man.
I always say that I would love to see a tour of Tombs, Cloak, and All Hell. That'd be like a perfect tour
Yeah.
because you
Well,
guys are
we
like,
we did
yeah,
tour with Cloak like along,
yeah.
right after the pandemic. That was only like a week, and that was when everyone was still afraid to go out. So,
That was with Cloak and then
Restless
the other,
Spirit.
yeah, Restless Spirit, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
yeah,
that was good.
I just feel like oh, and even Russell Spear, like, dude, guys are like those are four bands that kind of like seem to align in a lot of ways. You know what I
Oh yeah.
mean? That yeah, like it would be cool to see you guys tour together.
You never know, man. You never know what the future holds. So, we'll
No,
see. We're doing some dates in March next month, actually, which we're going to be announcing pretty soon. It's us and this band Replicant, who the bass player in Scorpion Throne is the singer in Replicant.
right? Okay,
Or singer and bass player. Yeah.
they're like they're death metal, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like influenced by like maybe Voivod or that kind of like Human Remains vibe to it. You know what I mean?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's it for Kane, man. It's fucking kind of a bummer, man.
it really is a bummer. We are officially done with Kane. There's no more Kane unless somebody decides to start writing some pastiches.
Yeah. But
And
thanks for listening, everyone. And
yeah,
we'll catch you guys next time with
yeah.
Conan.